Thank you, Nancy. Jury selection begins tomorrow in the murder trial of Drew Peterson. The former Bolingbrook police sergeant is charged in the 2004 death of his third wife, Kathleen Savio. The trial will be the first time that the state's new hearsay law will be used, allowing some types of second-hand testimony. Defense attorneys Brodsky and Joe Lopez join us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, you have a lot of criminal trial experience. This is your first criminal trial, and you're doing opening arguments. What is the challenge you face?
Well, it's not my first criminal trial. I've been doing criminal trials for 20 years. It's my first-degree murder trial.
First-degree murder, okay.
Yeah.
What is the challenge for you?
The opening statement, I mean, obviously to overcome any preconceptions that the jury may have about just because they, Drew has a negative image. I think that's my hardest thing to overcome in the opening.
Yeah, people have seen him joking on TV. How do you overcome that?
Well, it's very difficult. I mean, it seems to me most people hold that against him. People don't like the fact that he was an older man and he married younger women. And, of course, we noted when he was on TV, people held it against him that he didn't cry on TV. It's very difficult, but I think it can be done.
In more recent appearances, he has been joking a little bit less. Is that due to his arrest, or have you guys told him to sort of tone it down?
Well, he's been in isolation for 14 months now, and he's a strong man, but I don't, no matter how strong you are, that's going to have an effect on you, and I think that's what's toned him down a bit.
How much of a role will he play in his defense?
Well, Drew is, has 32 years in law enforcement. He's been through a lot of trials as actually a witness for the prosecution, so he, unlike most clients, knows a lot about the system, so he'll play an active role.
Do you think he'll take the stand?
Well, that's something we can't discuss at this point.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit more about jury selection, which starts tomorrow. When Drew Peterson was on the show a couple years ago, we talked to him, and I said that some people will see this, the death of Kathleen and the disappearance of Stacy during divorce discussions, divorce proceedings, as an eerie coincidence. Even though Stacy's not directly involved in this trial, do you feel the need to address that to the jurors who may also see this as an eerie coincidence?
I don't think that they're accusing Drew of Kathy Savio's death, and that's what we're here about. Coincidences are not part of a criminal trial. Evidence is part of a criminal trial, and they have to present evidence that he had something to do with Kathy's death, and they're not going to be able to do that. Period.
I mean, it seems to me that they keep concentrating on this divorce proceeding, but as the trial unfolds and the facts of this divorce proceeding become public, I think the public will see that that's the wrong avenue that they're taking.
How will you go about choosing a jury?
Well, we have to look at each one of the jurors' biographical information. We take a look at them. We get a chance to speak to them. We get an idea. You get an idea from people when you find out what type of magazines they like to read, what type of movies they like to read, what they do in their spare time. Some people like to garden, some people like to fish. Everybody's different. So you just have to look at all the biographical information, and of course it's a gut reaction. You have to use your gut reaction to make a determination.
Let's talk about this hearsay evidence that is new here, and while it is under seal, the Tribune has reported that Stacy Peterson's pastor will be allowed to testify, and he had talked about, here it is, here we have this on a graphic. Stacy allegedly told Pastor Shorey that Drew disappeared for several hours, and when Drew returned home, he was dressed in black and carrying clothing belonging to another woman. How do you think the jury will weigh hearsay evidence like this?
Well, I don't want to talk specifically about what may or may not hear. I just think that juries understand that hearsay is unreliable. Everybody's had experience in their lives with hearsay. He said, she said, and you hear it two or three people down the line, and it's inaccurate. Everybody has experience with that in their lives. And I think a jury is going to realize from their experiences that hearsay is simply not reliable, that hearsay is something that you just, you don't use as a basis in a criminal trial for evidence.
Let's talk about the autopsy or the autopsies. How do you explain someone accidentally drowning in a dry bathtub with a face down with a gash on the back of their head?
Well, you have to understand the bathtub at one time, they had water in it. There was water, there was a melted bar of soap underneath her body, so there was water in it. In fact, the Will County prosecutors went out and tested the bathtub and found that it self-drained over a period of time. So her hair was wet. At one time, there was water in that bathtub. At one time, she was getting prepared to take her bath, and at one time, she slipped, she fell, she hit her head, and unfortunately, she drowned.
Both autopsies, correct me if I'm wrong, both stated that they found the same things but just came to different conclusions, obviously. How do you explain multiple bruises on her hands and wrists and arms?
Well, like I said, I don't want to discuss specific evidence because, we're coming up to the trial and that's something for the jury. But there is nothing. We're going to present multiple expert witnesses for the defense, very prominent people, and they're going to explain to the jury the nature of what the body was and the condition of the body, and that clearly it was an accident.
And with this hearsay evidence, this automatic grounds for appeal if the situation should warrant?
Well, you have to lose the case first,
Yeah,
and we don't
yeah.
believe that's going to happen, but that would be part of an appeal in any type of criminal case where this hearsay is admitted.
All right. Starts tomorrow, jury selection. Joel Brodsky and Joe Lopez, thank you for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Good to see you.
Good to
Thank
see
you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Hey, Jim.